I'm Ray with another ghostly tale. This time all about a hospital. Many years ago I bashed my left knee and it was painful, very painful, and I was limping, and so about a week later I went along to the doctor. He had a look and he said, look, have an x-ray, we better see what's going on here, have an x-ray. Now in those days you had to have an x-ray appointment. I think these days you just get a bit of paper and walk down there at your leisure and they sort of fit you in. Back then it was an appointment. So I hadn't had much contact with our local hospital, fortunately. No need to go there. So I got lost. I'm looking around, where's x-ray? Couldn't find the x-ray department. I asked a nurse, she said, oh, you're down there, turn left. I still couldn't find it. I asked someone else, they didn't know. So this was a new hospital building. When I say new, what, 10 years old, something like that. But I hadn't been there. I eventually found someone and they said, straight down that corridor, turn left. Right, okay, got it. Or was it right? I can't remember. Went down the corridor and right at the end there was no left or right. And I'm thinking, this is ridiculous, I'm going to be late. I was already cutting it fine. I thought I'm going to be late for my appointment. There was a door half open, a very old door. Very, very old door. It was, all the paint was peeling off. And I thought, well, it's not through there, surely. I just looked through, I ventured through this door, which was half open. And I found myself in another corridor, very dimly lit, and I could just see rooms off this corridor. I could see doors with a bit of dim light coming from the rooms. And I wandered down there and there was a nurse, and I saw her up ahead. I said, excuse me, nurse, I'm looking for x-ray. And she looked me up and down, a bit strange, and she said, sorry, who are you? I said, I've got an appointment, 10:30 x-ray. And she looked a bit perplexed. She wore a very old uniform. I'll just describe a very old uniform, a very dark hair, a Mediterranean type jet black hair, you know, and the proper nurse's uniform, but very old fashioned. A pocket watch here, rather than the modern ones that have a big pocket watch. And I just looked round at the corridor, the whole setting, and I thought, this is like a museum. Now I'd read somewhere in a paper, like the local paper, when they were opening up the new building, the new hospital, there was talk about making the original one, the old building, into a museum, and I wondered whether that's what had happened. Anyway, she led me off. She said, come this way, and we went through various corridors. Then she tapped on a door and someone said, come, as they do, you know. She opened the door, said, in you go. I went in and there's this chap sitting at a desk, again very dimly lit, sitting at a desk. And my first reaction was the telephone on the table, an old candlestick. Do you remember the candlestick telephone? You pick up the earpiece, then hold it like that and talk. And I thought, this is a museum. I've somehow got in the back door of the museum. Fantastic, it was great. I wanted to look round, but I was going to be late. I was already late, and I was going to be even later for my x-ray appointment. I told the chap as I was looking round, I said, he had a beard, by the way, a beard. He was very smartly dressed, but again in old-fashioned clothes. He was, what, mid-40s. As I looked around at the very old-fashioned office, I said, I'm here for an x-ray. And he said, sit down, with enthusiasm bubbling away. So I sat in this chair, a rounded back chair, you know, the rounded back types. I forget what they're called, there is a name for them. I sat down in this dimly lit room. I happened to notice that the lighting, it was gas. It wasn't some modern electric lighting that looked like gas with, you know, a little flickering thing. It was actually a gas mantle. I do remember, I'm showing my age now, I do remember them in my grandmother's house when I was very, very young. They had a couple on the wall with a mantle, and it was genuine gas. And I thought, this is too real to be a museum. This is too good. It was real. And he said, X-radiation. I said, yes, I'm here for an X-ray. X-radiation, what do you know about it? I said, well, You could see bones. I'm here for an X-ray. You could see people's bones. He said, exactly. What a fantastic invention. He's going on and on, bubbling away with enthusiasm about X-radiation, as he kept calling it. And he said, I'm Doctor, and you know, I can't remember his name. I'm Doctor, and that is blank. It's not that I've forgotten it. It's that it was never there in my mind. I don't know. It's sort of been, if it was there, it's been erased somehow. He shook hands with me and he said, you are Doctor? And I just said, Johnson. I don't know why I came out with the name Johnson. I thought I'd tell him my real name. I don't know why. He said, oh, Dr. Johnson, very pleased to meet you. Shaking my hand like this. X-radiation. He said, now, have you seen a demonstration? And I said, yes, I have. Yeah, I mean, I'd had X-rays in the past, well, a X-ray in the past. And he said, I saw a demonstration in London, absolutely amazing and marvellous, and it's going on and on like this. And I thought, he's going over the, if he's part of the museum, he's going way over the top with this X-ray business. It's ridiculous. And I said, well, do you have the X-ray department here? Because that's what I'm here for. Oh, no. We're not that lucky. We're not fortunate enough to have X-ray equipment here. X-radiation equipment, sorry, that's what he called it. He said, I've only seen the demonstration at one of the London hospitals. He said, the day that every hospital has X-radiation equipment, that will be a marvellous day. But that's many, many years away. They've had problems with it. And he's going on about these problems. I mean, I'm not a medical man, but he was talking about a lot of medical stuff and words that I didn't and still don't understand. And then I began to think that I really had, somehow, I'd gone back in time. Now, as you know from my previous videos and podcasts, I have had a lot of experiences in my time. As I always say, I don't like the word ghosts, but I've had experience in my time of so-called ghosts and things like that. And I was beginning to think quite strongly that I'd somehow gone back in time to through a door or a portal to where the old hospital building had been, and well, had been, still was as far as I was concerned. And this was for real, but back in time. So I said to him, he was rambling on about X-radiation and medical developments and the future. And I said, well, what another amazing discovery, Alexander Fleming. And he looked at, who? Sorry, Alexander? And I said, penicillin. Penicillin? He's all enthusiastic. What's this? I haven't heard of this. Penicillin? What's that? Alexander Fleming? And I said, yes, it was, I think he discovered it. No, I wasn't sure. I knew it was the 20s. I said, I think, was it mid-20s? I checked afterwards, it was 1928. But he sat back, he looked at me. Mid-20s? He said, your clothes. He said, there's something different about you. Mid-20s? Your clothes. And I said, oh, yes. And I don't know how I did it. I said, the London look. What do you think? The new London look. Oh, he said, yes, very nice. He obviously didn't like I had a suit on, I forgot to tell you that. I was wearing a suit. I didn't have a tie, I'd take that off. I had an appointment, I had a meeting, a business meeting, and I'd worn a suit. Something I hardly ever wore. I don't wear it now, but I had to wear this suit. So it was just jacket, trousers, and this white shirt which was open. And I'd seen him sort of looking me up and down, looking at my clothes. So I said, New London look. Oh, right, okay, very, very nice. Then he went back to penicillin. He said, what's this 1920s? He said, that's a way off, way in the future. He was a very, gesticulating type chap. Oh, way off in the future. How do you know what's happening in the 1920s? I said, oh, no, it was just something I'd read. Oh, he said, a medical journal. Dr. Johnson. I don't know why he thought I was a doctor. So this went on and on for a while, and he was rambling on about new developments in medicine. And I was looking round. His office was just fantastic. The oak desk, the leather top, the blotting paper, the inkwell, the quill, not the quill, but an ink thing, whatever it was, the pen. absolutely amazing to look round, and him with his old clothes and his beard. I was actually back, I don't know, well over 100 years. Well, I assumed that we were in the late 1800s. From what he said, he didn't know about penicillin in the 20s. X-ray he'd heard of. And I mentioned to try, I didn't want to say to him, what year is this? Because he already thought I was a bit odd with my clothes and talking about the 1920s that were way off in the future. So I said, have you got electricity yet? Electric lighting, because I noticed you've got gas. Oh, yes, he said, we have. We're just beginning to be laid on. That should have given me an idea of the date. I've tried to find out since. I don't know when electricity came along into certain hospitals. I haven't found out. But again, it put me in the late 1800s, I thought. So I was sort of narrowing down roughly where he was in time, where I was in time, in fact. I've noticed I've got a creaky chair. This chair's never done that before. That's a bit spooky, isn't it? There it goes again. As we walked down the corridor, he wanted to show me. Oh, by the way, there were 3 nurses in the ward down the far end, all busying themselves with things. And again, all in the appropriate uniforms for the time. Amazing. And I remember thinking, I've been to museums, and a lot of them are done very, very well. It's fantastic. You would think you're back there, but there was always something missing in a museum. It wasn't perfectly real. There were things missing. You see a fluorescent light on the ceiling or something like that, or some sort of lighting, or a security camera somewhere. As we walked down the corridor, I won't say an odour, it certainly wasn't a fragrance, there was a smell. My nostrils filling with this, it was like burning flesh. When you if you singe your hair, it was like burning hair. And I thought, this is awful. Then the further we went down the corridor, there was another smell. I don't know what it wasn't, how hospitals smell of disinfectant. I don't know when disinfectant came in. When did they discover that there were germs and bacteria, and that was causing a lot of problems in hospitals? People getting all sort of dreadful diseases and stuff from germs and bacteria. Because then disinfectant came along at one point. It wasn't a disinfectant smell, but it was, I don't know, something dreadful. He opened the doors to this. He said, this is the operating theatre. Again, it was very dimly lit. There was this huge metal table. I looked round, big metal table, a huge steel sort of metal light thing above it. I'm not sure whether that was gas or what it was. That wasn't on. And a metal trolley, big metal trolley with instruments, and the instruments, honestly, the instruments, it looked like a sort of horror chamber. There was a saw, a big saw about that long. I assume for sawing people's legs off or sawing something off, and big sort of plier type things and forceps or whatever. As I say, I'm not a medical man. I don't recognise any. And these big, like how we have our little hypodermic things. These about this long, the smallest one like that. I picked it up while he was gesticulating all around the place, showing me various things. I actually slipped it into my jacket pocket. I don't know why. I mean, I'm not normally a thief. I just thought, while I'm here, I'll keep something, and I just put it into my jacket pocket. Is it a syringe or whatever they're called? Anyway, he was showing me round. The smell in there was dreadful. It really was dreadful. I certainly wouldn't have wanted to have myself operated on in a place like that. I don't know what the smell was. It was a little bit like bad, not bad drains. You know how sometimes a drain, I don't know, I can't describe it. But I can't describe it because I've never smelt it before. I've never known that smell. It's new to me. Unfortunately, I won't ever smell that again. And he was showing me around various things in the room, bottles lined up. He's talking about chloroform. Obviously no bottles of oxygen or anything like that, or what's the anesthetic? Is it laughing gas? The nitrous, is it nitrous oxide? No, that'd probably kill you. I don't know. Nothing like that, but chloroform and things, and dreadful. And then he said to me, would you like to stay? He said, we've got an operation coming up within about half an hour. He said, I'm operating. Would you like to stay and watch? I said, oh, no, sorry, I've got to get back to London. Sorry, I'm only here. I'm only down from London for a little while. I've got to get back. I don't have a lot of time. And I thought, there's no way I'm going to watch people get cut up on this metal table with these dreadful instruments. That was the last thing I wanted. And I'd forgotten, with all this, I'd forgotten about my knee. It seemed fine. It was only when I looked back afterwards, I thought my knee was fine. I'd gone to the hospital limping and in pain. And now I was walking around. No limping, no pain, nothing wrong with my knee. I was eager to get back to my own time. The modern hospital, I was eager to get back. Because I knew that I'd gone back in time somehow. I knew that I had to get back, and if I didn't get back, I didn't want to be stuck there in that time. I've read a lot about psychic phenomena, or whatever name you want to label it with, and I've read that people, one or two, you go back in time, and this is possible, I know that because I've done it, and when you come back, it can be years later, literally years later. Weird things happening, like whether I believe it or not, I don't know. I know I say I've done it. I don't think, it can't be a dream. People have said, oh, you were dreaming. Well, the only way it could be a dream is if I went to the hospital, I sat down waiting for my appointment, fell asleep, had the dream, and then woke up in the main hospital again. And I certainly don't think that's the case. And there's something else, another reason that I know 110% that it was not a dream. I said to the doctor, I've got to go, I really must go. Fine, he said, and the nurse that had seen me originally, the one that showed me to his office, she was approaching us, and he said, nurse, would you see Dr. Johnson out? And I thought, this is Dr. Johnson, well, you know, that's me, Dr. Johnson. I was quite proud, just for a moment. And she said, certainly, doctor, you know, come this way. And I said goodbye, we shook hands. She said, do come down again. Next time you're down from London, promise you'll come and visit us. I'd love to see you again. We did all this. I said, I will, yes. Walked off with the nurse. He went back into the operating theatre, probably to prepare for some dreadful operation. I didn't even want to think about those instruments. Oh. So we walked back down the corridor to where I'd first met her, where I came in. And she said to me, oh, you do come back, look us up, you know, if you're down this way, do come back. And she said, I've never been to London. And I said, well, you know, one of these days it'd be nice if you could go and have a look. It's a fascinating place. Oh, I've heard so many things about London, but I've never actually been there. And she said, what's it like? And I thought, well, I don't know. I haven't got a clue what it's like in the late 1800s. Well, I have. I've seen TV programmes and things. And as we approached the end, she said, my name is Maria. And I thought, well, that figures, the jet black hair, Mediterranean. Lovely girl, mid-20s, lovely girl. And I said, well, lovely to have met you. We shook hands, and I said, I really must go. She walked away back down the corridor, and I walked to the end. Where's the door? How do I get out? This was the way I came in, but how do I get out? As I approached the end, it was very dark. There was the door. I thought, this is it, my escape, straight through the door into the main hospital. Relief at last, I'd done it. I'd actually had this incredibly fascinating experience, and I was now back in my time in the modern hospital. I looked round, just a brick wall at the end of this corridor, just a brick wall, no door. So, fascinating experience. I was walking along the corridor under the fluorescent lights, all, you know, bright lights everywhere. And I was in a bit of a daze. I suppose I was dizzy with all what had happened, and I was thinking about it all, remembering everything. And I remembered in my pocket, and I pulled it out, this syringe thing. I thought, that's it. I've been there. That was it. That was it in my pocket. Put it back in my jacket pocket. That was my proof to, not that I needed to prove to myself, but I suppose that was proof to myself that I hadn't been dreaming. I'd actually been there. I mean, I wouldn't have picked that up in the modern hospital, not unless they had a museum area with something like that in it. And then I thought, X-ray. I asked, yeah, a nurse, she said, that way. went on the corridor, and then it said X-ray at last. X-ray. My knee was fine, by the way, absolutely fine. I found my letter, went up to the desk, the reception, and I said, "Oh, there's my letter, I'm here for an X-ray." She took it and she's looking down at it, checking this and that. And I said, "Sorry, I'm late." She said, "You're not late." I said, "Well, I'm meant to be here at 10:30. And she said, "It's only 10:20." I looked at my watch, looked at the wall clock, 10:20. It was 10:30 when I was looking for X-ray. I'd gone back 10 minutes. Incredible, I'd gone back 10 minutes in time. I was 10 minutes younger, I thought. Not sure what I was. Then I looked at her. She looked up from the piece of paper. It was Maria, in the modern uniform with her modern fob watch. Still the same, exactly the same. The black hair, the Mediterranean, Maria. And it said on her, Maria, I think it was Gonzalez. And I said, "I met you." She said, "Go in, there's no queue, go straight in." And I said, "Maria, I met you." And she sort of looked at me as if I'm mad. She said, "The radiologist is waiting for you, go in." So I went in. I thought, as soon as I go out, I'm going to go and have a chat with her. They x-rayed my knee. This chap x-rayed my knee, lovely. He said, "Nothing wrong with it, it's fine." He looked at the x-ray, nothing wrong with it. I went back outside and I went up to the reception desk. It was a different woman. And I said, "Excuse me, I need to talk to Maria." And she said, "Maria? No Maria here." I said, "I think it was Gonzalez, Maria Gonzalez, something like that. Very jet black hair girl, about 25. She said, "There's no one here." And I said, "I saw her 10 minutes ago, just before I went in for my appointment. I saw her." And she said, "There was no one here 10 minutes ago." She said, "I had to disappear for a few minutes. There was no one here to take over. I've been here all the time since then." And I just said, "Oh, okay." She was looking at me and I thought, I better get out of this hospital before I end up in the psychiatric unit, before I'm sectioned. So I left the hospital, went outside, beautiful summer day. I walked round the back of the hospital where the old building had been, and it was a park. I'd read something about, or heard something about it was a park. It was going to be a museum. They demolished the whole lot, and it was a park. Grass, usual stuff, path, bushes, small trees they planted which hadn't grown yet. And I sat on this bench looking round, thinking this is exactly where the old building was. And as I sat there, I noticed the nurse, Maria, and the doctor. They were walking across, I don't know, 10 metres, 15 metres in front of me. She walked into the bushes. He followed. He did that as if he's opening a door. He pushed a door open with his arm. That's what it looked like. He was pushing a door open with his arm. She went through this doorway that I couldn't see. He followed. They walked into the bushes. I leapt over there. I ran over to exactly where I'd seen the door. But I couldn't. I walked into the bush and I couldn't go any further because I was up against the bush. I couldn't get through. There was no doorway there, but I'd definitely seen them. I went back, 12, 15 times to that park on various occasions over the next few months, trying to see them, just a glimpse. And I even went into the hospital and walked down that corridor where the door had been into the old building, and it was just a brick wall. I asked again about Maria Gonzalez. No one's ever heard of her. So that was a fascinating and very, very strange experience. I wasn't at all frightened when I was in there. The chap I was talking to, the doctor, very friendly, not at all. There was no fear at all. I suppose because of past experiences. But there we are. That's my amazing experience at what I now call the Ghost Hospital. Thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Look out for the next one. When's it going to be? For Halloween. And I'm not going to tell you what that one's about because I don't know myself yet. I've got several recollections in the pipeline. Shall I tell this one? No, perhaps I should tell that one. I'm rambling. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye bye for now.